We finished the overhead irrigation, now we're moving on to the drip irrigation.
Sorry.
When I first set up a backyard garden, I had no idea what I was doing, especially with irrigation and watering my plants. So what I used was soaker hoses, and I used those because it seemed to be really easy for a beginner and I didn't know what I was doing. So 13 years later, I finally got the guts to try out drip irrigation.
Perfect. Like right there, not rubbing against it. You should have me do this every time.
And I definitely realized I was missing out all along, and I would never go back to using soaker hoses.
We got some extra irrigation main line that we're going to go along this side of the tunnel and then down in front of the beds. Usually you would not need this if you were just doing one header across the front. All you need comes with the kit. Because we're kind of altering it a little bit, we got some extra tubing.
A lot of my hesitancy in using drip tape came from the fact that I didn't know how to set it up. The drip irrigation that we are setting up for the tunnel is a kit from Farmer's Friend, and it was super easy to set up. It probably took us less than 2 hours, even with a baby hanging out with us half the time. So I imagine it would be even faster than that normally. Farmer's Friend gave me a 5% off discount code for you guys, and this is not just for their irrigation kits. This is site-wide. So if you have been on the fence about getting something from there, it is a really good time to do it with this discount code. A lot of their items are high dollar items, so it can be a pretty big savings. Now I want to explain a little bit of the why behind why we are setting up drip irrigation, and we have overhead irrigation set up as well, and why you might choose one or the other or both. First, I'm going to go over the benefits of using drip irrigation. Some of the benefits are it keeps the plant leaves dry, the soil doesn't splash back up on the leaves, so you get a lot less foliar diseases. Another benefit of drip irrigation is it waters in very specific areas, so you get fewer weeds.
Wherever you do them, just do them the same place on the hose.
Yeah, like here.
So do them like right in the middle of those green things,
Yeah,
because you can always twist the tube.
Another good thing about the drip irrigation is it's great if you want to be more efficient with your water, if your water is expensive, and it's also a great option if you have a low capacity well or pump. Now I'm going to explain some of the benefits of using sprinklers or overhead irrigation. So one is that you have very uniform coverage, and if you're starting seeds, you get way better germination because it's watering everything underneath those sprinklers evenly. Another benefit of using sprinklers is that you have fewer pipes and connections and things to work around, so you can weed and cultivate so much easier, and it's a lot less work to set up as well. You also get fewer leaks when you are using sprinklers, and it is very visible when it's on, so you can see where everything is getting covered with the water very easily, and you get that peace of mind that it's all working. When trying to decide between one or the other, a big consideration is what your climate is. We personally are in a very humid, wet, it gets really hot in the summers climate, which makes diseases go crazy. So for us, trying to combat those foliar diseases, we use drip irrigation exclusively on crops that take a long time to mature, and they are very susceptible to foliar diseases. So some examples of this would be like tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, anything in those families. We are using drip irrigation. For pretty much all of our other crops, we prefer the overhead irrigation. And there is one other consideration with overhead sprinklers, and that is if you live in an area that gets a lot of wind, then you are likely to get very uneven watering happening with the sprinklers. So drip in that case would probably be a better option. in our personal context, we are setting up this irrigation inside our high tunnel, and we have both overhead and drip irrigation set up here just so that we have some options.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah. Chin up to chest up. Oh, one-handed? One-handed? Wow. All done.
And if it's all set up and ready to go when summer hits, then it's really easy to just turn it on. And when we get into fall and we don't want the drip irrigation there anymore, we just want to be able to weed and cultivate really easily, I can really quickly just pull off all of the drip tape and leave the header line there. And then it's easier for me to weed everything, and we can use overhead watering instead. Or I can just turn on the overhead watering if I'm trying to get something to sprout. If I'm planting something new there, I can use it for that. So it just allows me a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more options, and I really like that part of it. In the rest of our garden, we usually just have one or the other set up at one time. Between the time when we extended the water out to the high tunnel and when we set up this drip line, there was a very cold winter storm and it got down to -5 degrees Fahrenheit. So that caused some damage to the plants. You saw we were removing a bunch of broccoli that got a lot of frost damage. So I just took those out before we laid down the drip line just to make it easier. And another interesting thing that happened during that time is our frost-free hydrant got a crack in it. And I thought it was because of the cold, but Cam thinks it's because he screwed it on too tight. So we just had to repair that.
Oh, you got a whole new hydrant?
Yeah. That's what you can't, it's all connected. Okay, I think that'll be fine. Okay, I'm gonna go there. That's good.
I'm going to flush out the line for the drip tape. To do that, I closed off all of the drip tape valves at the beginning of each of the rows, and then I opened up the flush valve at the end of the header line. So we're just going to flush that tubing first, and then we'll do each row of the drip tape. So here we go.
So I am just flushing out each one of these drip lines individually. I turn on the valve, watch the water come out, and then turn off the valve.
These are what you put on the end of the drip tape. This is what comes with the kit. It has a narrow end and a wider end, and you just thread it through. Just the way this drip tape ended up, I have one of the water emitters right here, and they are really hard to push past with these little things. So I'm actually just gonna cut right here, and then we'll start there and thread it up. And then you just fold this a couple of times. Fold it one more time. And then you just pull the thing back. And I take one of these anchor pins or metal staples, whatever you want to call it. And then that holds everything in place. Okay, so these are the lines I've already done and added the ends to, so you can see how nice and snug those are compared to these all over the place. So that's why it's nice to pin them down in place. Finished putting all the ends on the drip line. Now we're going to test it out and see if it works. There is a little hole on the back of this line, and I was trying to figure out what it was from. I know exactly what it's from. It's my bad. Because when I put this end piece on there, I was trying to push it past the emitter to see if I could get it past there, and I could not. And so it left a little snag here. So I'm actually just gonna, I'm gonna cut it right here and then try this again. If you get a hole in the drip irrigation, you can use a coupler to repair it, but since this is close enough to the end, I am just gonna cut this off and then roll it up again. It's gonna be a little bit short, but that's okay. I think I got it this time. It's actually working and I don't hear any loud flow of water. I'm excited. It's gonna be so good to have this. I really regret not setting up irrigation in the rest of my garden earlier. We have done some over there, but I wasn't happy with the setup. So we're gonna be revamping that, and I'll definitely share that with you guys in some of the upcoming videos. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!